Next, as you see, here comes one of the 30-foot sections. They take it in its entirety. You can see even the big beam is left running along the top there. You can see the end sticking out a little bit now. Everyone's running around right now. Yeah. There it is. Well, I'm going to shut on down, see if I can save a little juice for it coming through the viaduct. Coming through the bridge. Sides off of the semi and just laying them down on the correct side where they're going to be lifted back up eventually. Got stuck coming in off a gun tether. There's all the sections of the barn laying down. Well, there's what used to be the east ends, now the west end. This used to be the north side, now it's the south side, and over there the other one, and one more. We have all the roof trusses that have been rebuilt. Here's one end of the gable end of the barn. They just went back and got all the timbers from underneath in case we need some. This one beam here, they're going to splice a piece in the middle, cut it in, and bolt it all together. Mortise in. So there's the mortise, and then this tenon is cut to go right in there. As they stand it up, it'll go right in there, and you can see the next one cut there, and that'll go in there. Then my door opening, one beam that was cracked in the middle there. As you can see, they took a second beam and just spliced it right there and have bolted it together. That will be the cross beam. And then the two laying on the ground in front of it, those will be coming down at one side 10 foot in, and on this one 20 foot in, which will give me the support for the hayloft. The inside of the barn, watch this piece come in. This is the first corner they put in. It's all put back together. This is the side that we watched them peg from the outside. It's pegged back together. That's what the old brain grill is. Cable it up and pull it in. Keep going? Yep, keep going.
Okay, I'm gonna take the brakes off here. Pretty tight, Jake.
Bringing together the last beam. I'm actually outside the barn shooting here. Oh, there goes the centerpiece in. This is the one they repaired.
Okay.
You what? You tight? Gotta come down now a little bit.
Is it tight, Jake? Is that tenon on there tight? No, it's gotta come down. Okay, have him come down.
Yeah. I don't know, we're gonna have to go up there and hit it. Hold it right there.
Yeah,
now. That's it. Now, we want to come over here with a little ladder, pry this one back, get a bar. Come over here with that ladder, Jake, or bring a bar over under this little ladder, and you can pry it back over.
Right there's where they must have been routed and fixed it.
Where you want to be.
How you doing over there, Jake? Jake, there you go in. Okay. Hold it. Stop, move. Go up. Nope. Hold it. A little bit more. A little bit more. Hold it. Get over there, Dad. Ready, Bert? Okay, Jake.
And it's
Tighten up on this orange one and help you out.
did those yesterday. The far gable end was put up first, and then each of the trusses swung up with the bucket truck. Today they're squaring them up, and we'll put on the gable end at this end, which is still down here on the ground. 4x10s and a couple places 4x12s. These are oak timbers with pine flooring on top of it, 1 inch thick. On top of that goes the OSB. There's ladders going at the other end up to the trap door. There's a nice stairway they built for me to go up to the loft. Let's go up and take a look at the loft. That vertical ladder we'll go to. I'm going to try and get rid of these vertical timbers, columns as the architect wants to call them. I'm going to run a I-beam underneath this to give me the structural support so we can eliminate them. Here's the vertical ladder that will go up to the lookout up there. So it should be a nice view out there. Much higher up. Well, battery's going down, so we'll fade out. right here. This is the end that was never painted on the barn. Well, this summer it'll get painted, and in there, about 2 foot below that line, and then up about 7 foot high is where we'll have the sliding door that goes into the haymow. Haymow starts about 2 foot below that line of boards. So coming along well. A weather watch with the ladder going up and a 4x4 platform for me to sit on and look out. And Thunderbird that they with a nice beam coming out of it. Should be able to hoist anything up to the hayloft with. Trim that off. Brought over the lightning rods, but I don't think we'll get those up today. It's probably getting slick enough up there that time to quit soon. I'm never going to take these off myself.
Down? Yeah. Hold it out fast. What's that there? Ready to go, Toe? You gotta go up? Help, Toe. Just a little bit. Up a little bit, Ken. Up just a little bit. Up and up.
Well, we've taken out the supports as we're on this side. We're going to brace the floor. Now they're using some.
And then we started doing it straight out and either one. Easy! You're coming up tight, easy! Hold it right there a minute. Just a little fast and send it over here, yeah. Yeah, hold it right there. Get the scaffolding. Get a ladder over here. Scaffolding, get them guys down here, put scaffolding right over there. Alright, come on down here, we're gonna bolt one end and then jack the other end up.
Now we have the beam in place, and they have the support coming down. That's tied into the beam behind it, and supporting then the steel I-beam. It's up against the horizontal beam. Be taking down these supports now that were used to hold the floor up while they were doing this, when they took the other supports out. We have the beam fastened up there. Now at each end, when they put it up, there is a angle iron that it's bolted into the beam behind it, and then the whole beam is supported by this timber that they had made up at the sawmill. The timber then, down at the bottom we have a couple nail holes, or nails, holding it to the timber, and then up a little ways, right there and right there, we have threaded rods that go right through this, right through the timber behind, onto the outside wall, holding everything together. So I'm sure we'll be able to have a herd of elephants up there dancing. Thursday, February 20th. Probably about 25 working days. You can see my Thunderbird at the end here with the cable on it that I'll attach something to, pulley or that chain fall. And up on the roof we have the 3 original lightning rods. And then I did put an antique weather vane on there that seems to be functioning, that we had bought about 20 years ago to put somewhere in the house and never did. We did 3 windows at each end, plus a service door down here. Both sides have the big 14-foot wide, almost 16-foot high door for pass-through, and the door that we have on the second floor here was one of the original doors. They were much smaller, that opened up on the north side of the barn. The barn now has been rotated 180 degrees, so what was north is now south. So the same with one big sliding door, both of them going to the east. Windows in here, and then I had them put a little teeny door right next to that one window there. You can see it. That opens up, gives a little cross ventilation. Stairway, which goes up and then turns and goes up to the loft, and the service door comes in underneath that, saving as much space as possible. We put in these steel I-beams. They run underneath the main hand-hewed beams that hold up the hayloft, and then we have these tapered beams coming down to rest on the cement block. And on the reverse side, if you look at this one here, I also have these angle iron supports made up that attach to the main beam, the wooden beam. So we have an awful lot of support holding up the hayloft. There's part of the support system for the gambrel roof. We did put a new roof on this, so that's all new OSB, but all the trusses are original. I did have them put 3 windows in the end there, and there is my, what I call my weather watch. I told them to make the platform such that they could climb up there with a 50-pound bag and jump up and down, and that would be just fine. So I've been up there, and it is very sturdy. Opens up to the outside. And this latches to the outside. Obviously from my perch up here and out this window, a much better view than even at this level here. There's I opened up the door for bringing stuff into the hayloft up here. Again, there's the stairway coming up. And we've preserved all of the aesthetics of the old barn. Each of these here are repairs to the trusses where the joints were bad. So everything that needed to be was repaired. We even put the old track up here. You can see how it's held with horseshoes. We won't use that anymore. I don't have a trolley to go on it. And it's old enough that it could fall down on our heads also. So, barn's all done. Very nice job.
Sadly, what does one do with an old barn that the owner has no further need for? Find a new owner. Down near Dexter in Washtenaw County, an old-timer was taken apart and loaded up for an interesting trip to a new location for its new owner, who is going to restore it again. For those who were watching it approach a historic tunnel in Dexter, there was a brief pause to watch and wonder if the extra wide load would make it. Take a look. Almost smooth as glass, the historic load of lumber, though, made it and headed toward its new destination, about 12 miles south of Dexter.
What a jigsaw puzzle there. The old barn.
That's right.
We'll be back at 11 o'clock tonight, NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw coming up next. Until then, good night.
Good night.
Barns that still dot the countrysides around here.
That's right, and out on Route 10, of course, Art Wainwright found out one that has been given a second life thanks to a man who just loves barns. Tonight, part one of his two-part story called Barn on the Run.
Since 1909, Old Red had served its purpose all right and proudly. While providing shelter to livestock below, it also protected much-needed farm machinery and crops stored above. But, well, like anything in life, even if it's good, changes do occur. And like many old barns, they are disappearing. And so was the fate of Old Red, until Terry Wesner, near Dexter, stepped in.
Well, you know, I was free summer help on my grandparents' farm as I was growing up, and really enjoy the old barns, and they just seem to be falling down in Michigan. They're very well made, and as long as the roofs don't rot and let the water into down below, they're still worth moving.
While the three-story structure was being torn down, Terry was preparing a new home for it, 12 miles away, with the help of a professional.
Very seldom you find a barn that's in perfect condition, and we figure on at least 10% repair work, siding and all, and this is a relatively good barn compared to some we worked on. And
it would take just 4 men and a crane operator to remove the board and timber sides to a truck bed, where it would soon be heading down Old Territorial Road to its new residence. But then some wondered if it could overcome another obstacle, the small historic tunnel that leads to Dexter. And in the next report, we'll tell you about this close call and yet another test that confronts this barn on the run. Art Wainwright, Route 10, Dexter.
All right, they're building them back up.
That's right.
If food stamp regulations go into action tomorrow, we'll take a look at who it may affect. And Art Wainwright proves a new theory. What comes down must go back up. News 10 at 5 o'clock. Coverage you can count on. And at 5 o'clock, what comes down must go back up. Is the case as Art Wainwright tracks the continuing adventures of the barn on the run in another edition of Route 10. News 10 at 5. It's coverage you can count on.
California ends with a gunman wounded. We'll have details.
And coming up later, Art Wainwright continues his series on barns and people who love them. Stay with us as News 10 continues. Took us out on Route 10 for a look at how a Dexter man's love for barns turned him into a savior for at least one old-timer.
So here's part two of his series called Barn on the Run.
This type is the hand-hewn, peg-together beams, and they just get and knock out the pegs and lay it down like a big Lego set and move it over here and put it right back up.
Yes, it sounded easy enough as Terry Wesner explained how he acquired this nearly 90-year-old barn, wanted it moved to his estate. Problem number one, a narrow bridge leading into Dexter. An inch here and an inch there, not bad. Problem number two, through a country field to the home. Stuck. Tractor, no luck, but then back on the road again and making it home safely to be re-erected.
a great relief because it's a lot of responsibility, it's a great risk, and it's a good feeling to want to see it up and know that it's going to stand for maybe another 80 or 100 years.
Now, some boards and timbers had to be replaced, and, well, with the help of some steel I-beams, Terry finally got what he wanted.
Give it a big old push. Big old...
Now I've got a nice 1,200 square foot spot that's just wide open, very useful, you know, a nice marriage of old and new. Plus, you know, the aesthetics of having a neat old barn, the character it has, the hand-hewn beams, and just very pleasant.
Pleasant indeed, and strong enough for even heavyweights to have a dance party on.
Everything is more functional than if I'd bought something new.
Art Wainwright, Route 10, Dexter.
Keeping a bit of history. That's great.
I've always wanted a barn. Maybe someday. Maybe I could just bring it to my house.
And you've always wanted to dance in a barn too, haven't you?
Not quite like Art, though. There are some surprising statistics about child vaccinations ahead.
We'll have the results when we come back.
Country barns. A lot of them are being destroyed due to age and decay. Out on Route 10 this morning, Art Wainwright found one that has been given a second life thanks to a man who loves them. Here's part one of a special story called Barn on the Run.
Since 1909, Old Red had served its purpose all right and proudly. While providing shelter to livestock below, it also protected much-needed farm machinery and crops stored above. But, well, like anything in life, even if it's good, changes do occur. And like many old barns, they are disappearing. And so was the fate of Old Red, until Terry Wesner, near Dexter, stepped in.
Well, you know, I was free summer help on my grandparents' farm as I was growing up, and really enjoy the old barns, and they just seem to be falling down in Michigan. They're very well made, and as long as the roofs don't rot and let the water into down below, they're still worth moving.
While the three-story structure was being torn down, Terry was preparing a new home for it, 12 miles away, with the help of a professional.
Very seldom you find a barn that's in perfect condition, and we figure on at least 10% repair work, siding and all, and this is a relatively good barn compared to some we worked on.
It would take just 4 men and a crane operator to remove the board and timber sides to a truck bed, where it would soon be heading down Old Territorial Road to its new residence. But then some wondered if it could overcome another obstacle, the small historic tunnel that leads to Dexter. And in the next report, we'll tell you about this close call and yet another test that confronts this barn on the run. Art Wainwright, Route 10, Dexter.
Well, it's a lot of work, but what a great effort.
Well, in these barns, I mean, a lot of them haven't had attention in years, but they're
Right.
just built so well that they just
Absolutely.
stand up out there.
Yeah,
So it's
solid.
Great.
Yeah,
It's good to see them moved.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll take another look at the headlines. That's in just a moment.
Stay with us. This is News 10 Today.
You're watching NBC 10. Now, News 10 Today.
A police standoff follows a random shooting in Lansing. Plans for a new school get underway in Hillsdale. And out on Route 10 this morning, preserving a piece of our history. Good morning, everyone. You're watching News 10 Today. I'm Diane Richards.
And I'm Darren Rockwool. Thanks for joining us. Today would be a good day to maybe work on raising a barn because the weather is going to be pretty nice.
Absolutely. A beautiful day to wind out the work week.
That's right. A dry set.
You're watching NBC 10. Now, News 10 Today.
Investigators are trying to figure out how a vehicle rolled off the Mackinac Bridge. The city of Jackson loses a major department store and the fate of a barn on the run out on Route 10. Good morning, everyone. You're watching News 10 Today. I'm Diane Richards.
And I'm Darren Rockwool. Thanks for joining us. A decent day, actually, if you needed to do some more.
Art Wainwright took us out on Route 10 to a Dexter man's life dream of building a barn. He was able to do it thanks to one old-timer. Here's part two of his story called Barn on the Run.
This type is the hand-hewn, peg-together beams, and they just get and knock out the pegs and lay it down like a big Lego set and move it over here and put it right back up.
Yes, it sounded easy enough as Terry Wesner explained how he acquired this nearly 90-year-old barn, wanted it moved to his estate. Problem number one, a narrow bridge leading into Dexter. An inch here and an inch there, not bad. Problem number two, through a country field to the home, stuck. Tractor, no luck, but then back on the road again and making it home safely to be re-erected.
A great relief because it's a lot of responsibility. It's a great risk, and it's a good feeling to once you see it up and know that it's going to stand for maybe another 80 or 100 years.
Now, some boards and timbers had to be replaced, and, well, with the help of some steel I-beams, Terry finally got what he wanted.
Give it a big old push.
Now I've got a nice 1,200 square foot spot that's just wide open, very useful, you know, a nice marriage of old and new. Plus, you know, the aesthetics of having a neat old barn, the character it has, the hand-hewn beams, and just very pleasant.
Pleasant indeed, and strong enough for even heavyweights to have a dance party on.
Everything is more functional than if I'd bought something new.
Art Wainwright, Route 10, Dexter.
You'd never know that it was moved to look at it.
No. And did you see Art's little jig? I mean, that man can move. Yeah, that was good. We'll take another look at the headlines in just a moment.
The time now 6.
Painted it. We've done all the trim on it. Has a nice functioning hawk's beak up there. As you can see the pulley up there for bringing out pallets of books. And we've even done the typical moons on the door. Possibly we'll put some gutters on this, but I think that just leaving it this way is probably the way it will be. Hopefully the paint will hold up. This is Sears Best Paint. It was power washed and brushed. Then it was primed and painted. Just one coat of paint and one coat of primer. Everyone said that was better than 2 coats of paint. Well, we'll go take a look finally at the upstairs, show you how rugged that was built. Barn, it also has the nice moon doors, so you can drive right through it. Again, there's the hawk's beak and all the original lightning rods up top with an original weather vane up there. Door up top there is how we bring stuff in and out, the pallets of books. We'll go up and take a look at the books there. And I did have them put a service door in the bottom here for coming in. As I've always said about old barns, one of the interesting characteristics is that from the inside you can see out. And here we can see that that's true with this. And as should be, we've got nice old farm-all tractors sitting in the barn. Now, one of the best things that I did as far as this barn was concerned was when I constructed the haymow, I had them put these steel I-beams underneath. And then we have these gun stock timbers that run down against the foundation. Now we'll go upstairs and take a look at what can be held up there. There's the service door underneath there, a nice access to get upstairs. What I wanted the barn to be able to do was to be able to handle 1,500-pound pallets of books moved around on a pallet jack. Now when you figure the amount of weight there is on each of the little wheels there, the pressure per square inch is just tremendous. Yet as these roll around up here, doesn't make a groan at all. And then we do take the loaded pallets directly out of here using the hawk's beak that's up top, and then lower them just down onto a truck or a wagon. And at one end of the top of the haymow, I had them make a little door for me that I could swing open and look out. Besides my weather watch platform up top that I can really look out, and as you can see out through the cracks of the walls.